Ultimately, uh, it's not the specificity of the laws, but it's a culture that values life.
On Monday, May 2nd, the Supreme Court's draft opinion overturning the 1973 case Roe v. Wade was leaked to the public. Roe v. Wade prevents states from placing excessive restrictions on access to abortion. We explored the possible political, legal, and social effects of this reversal, with a particular focus on its impacts in Virginia. In late 2021, the Supreme Court heard a case called Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization after the state of Mississippi appealed the verdict of a lower court in hopes that the Supreme Court would uphold its abortion ban after the 15th week of pregnancy. After the appointment of 3 justices by former President Donald Trump, the conservatives in the court formed a majority, leading many to believe a case like Dobbs v. Jackson would result in a reversal of Roe v. Wade. This prediction seems to have been realized. Miles Coleman is the associate editor of Sabato's Crystal Ball, a newspaper run by the University of Virginia Center for Politics. We asked him about the finality of the Supreme Court's draft opinion. Here's what he had to say.
I'm expecting them to have probably a final decision out probably in June sometime, but Chief Justice Roberts has emphasized that this isn't necessarily the final decision.
How could this decision impact the upcoming midterm elections and political affiliations within Virginia and throughout America?
With college-educated women, which we typically think of as the group being most adamantly pro-choice, well, Democrats are already winning that group by 38, 40 points. So it's like, how much more can Democrats gain if that group is even more charged up? But the generic ballot for Congress is tied. Biden is unpopular, and I'm not sure it's going to take the place of inflation as the top issue going into these midterms.
Discussions about abortion tend to be highly polarized. News of the court's recent decision was met with anger from one side and praise from the other. We talked to Abe Nelson, a leader of Charlottesville Pro-Life, an organization which advocates against abortion in the Charlottesville area, to get his thoughts. What was your reaction to hearing about the Supreme Court's decision to reverse Roe v. Wade? Did it feel like a victory or a step in the right direction?
So maybe too soon to call it victory yet. Obviously, the verdict is not final and hasn't been released officially by the Supreme Court, which leads me to say, yes, very hopeful.
What kind of laws would you like to see enacted in Virginia?
Ultimately, it's not the specificity of the laws, but it's a culture that values life from conception until natural death, that sees every life as precious and valuable, regardless of race or ethnicity or health or disability, and all of these things which are factors which weigh into an issue like abortion. And we want to see every life valued.
Since Virginia has very few restrictions on abortion, and some of its neighboring states have put into place what are called trigger laws, which if Roe v. Wade if this decision is final and Roe v. Wade is overturned, immediately abortion in almost every case would be illegal. Are you concerned that women seeking abortions in those states would flood to Virginia to obtain abortions?
I mean, for us as Virginians that are pro-life, there's activities that we can do to influence our own state legislature, and we want to take those steps. But there is also a ministry opportunity here for us to step up the services that we offer to women that are facing unplanned and crisis pregnancies, and to show them care and to show them that that they are stronger and worth more than the abortion industry would tell them.
Sean Mehl of Whole Women's Health, a provider of reproductive health care with locations around the country, also reacted to news of the Supreme Court's decision. He said, "It was devastating, no doubt. The writing's been on the wall for some time, so while it's a really tragic potential outcome and likely outcome here, it's not entirely surprising." We also asked him about the impacts of women from other states coming to Virginia to seek abortions. Right here in Charlottesville, we do anticipate to see that impact. Whether patients are traveling from the south or traveling from the west, we know we will see some patients directly. I think we'll see people travel great distances for abortion care, and we absolutely anticipate that need. Right now, we are continuing to see as many patients as we can in the states we are operating for as long as we can. So regardless of where that ultimate decision lands, we will continue to see each and every patient that we can. And we will continue to fight for our patients and not back down. Many legal experts are discussing the implications of this Dobbs decision. We spoke to Professor Ann Coughlin of UVA's Law School about her analysis of this verdict.
In Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court decides that the Constitution protects women's right to make a decision with respect to whether they are going to bear a child. And the court makes that decision under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. The Due Process Clause provides that the states must give due process before they deprive people of life, liberty, or property. So the court focuses on the meaning of liberty and decides that liberty within the terms of the Constitution encompasses a woman's right to make this, very important decision about her reproductive decisions. The Supreme Court in the next couple of weeks is going to overrule that decision, and it's going to decide that you no longer have that constitutional right. This is a very big deal. It's earth-shattering. The Supreme Court does overrule decisions from time to time. It does not do that lightly.
So some states have trigger laws in effect where if Roe v. Wade is reversed immediately, abortion is illegal in almost every case, and there are potentially dangerous consequences for women seeking abortions. Do you think that the Supreme Court should have these consequences in mind when determining Roe's constitutionality?
The conservative justices, the justices who are in the majority in Dobbs, are relying on what they call originalist reasoning. What was the original public meaning of liberty? And they're focusing on what liberty meant to the framers. And the other wing of the court, the wing of the court that voted to recognize a right to abortion in Roe, that they're relying on a different methodology, that liberty should take account of contemporary ideas about what liberty is. The methodological question, which is, I take it what you're asking, to what extent should the justices be mindful of contemporary concerns, is baked into the methodology that they're applying. The conservative justices say that the question that you raised, the contemporary implications for women in the 21st century, those are questions to be left in the hands of the states. Folks have speculated that Roe v. Wade should have been grounded in equality rights, in arguments about women's equality as opposed to arguments about women's liberty.
This decision may have indelible effects on the ongoing fight over abortion. Do you think that this potential reversal of Roe v. Wade has changed your movement's mission or has changed any of the ways that you'll continue to advocate for life?
On a national level, it certainly does. And national advocacy certainly shifts just to some degree. And as you observed, some of the state to state dynamics certainly change. Here for us, for the moment, not tremendously.
One thing I'll say, kind of looking towards immediate midterms in 2022, is the American electorate tends to have a very short attention span. And let's say whatever ruling we get, maybe comes out in June, the elections aren't going to be till November. Are kind of both sides of the abortion debate going to keep their side energized until the November elections? That's something we'll have to see.
It seems we will have to wait for the final decision to be released, but the effects of the Supreme Court's likely decision may be lasting in Virginia. For WUVA, I'm Olivia Pappas.